Cool. So every year during camp, we host what we call the college panel. And what we do is we have folks that are from our community come in and talk and share about their experience uh, with debate, college, and college with or without debate, and all the things around there. So I'll have a few questions that I ask folks, but I'm definitely going to encourage y'all in the audience to ask your questions about it. I'm sure y'all are all age ranges. Some of you are in middle school, some of you are ninth, 10th grade, some of you are 11th, 12th grade. So we just wanted to give this opportunity to y'all to sort of demystify the process and to sort of open up the opportunities that you consider when it comes to applying for college. So some of the folks that are here are representatives of their schools, either their current students or their professors there, or their coaches of the debate team, or some other relationship in between. And I'm sure they all have unique experiences that y'all might be interested in. So with that, I'm going to ask everyone who is participating to sort of just give a quick introduction of yourself, but then we'll have more time to sort of share your story later. The first person I see, Chris Perez. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Good to see all of you. My name is Chris Perez. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm currently a USC student. I guess I'm on my fourth year. I am currently studying political science, but I start my master's in public administration in the fall. I'm a former debater at USC, a debater for about a year, I think. But yeah, happy to be here.
Cool. Devin.
Hello, my name is Devin. I'm the director of debate at Cal State Long Beach. And so clearly I'm not a debater. I haven't been for a long time, but pretty much I coach debate at Cal State Long Beach, and it's cool and fun and stuff. And so, yeah, and I have like a lot of information about the scholarship process and like applying to the school and all that good stuff. And Joel is going to be on his way, he told me. So just let y'all know.
Awesome. Cool. Jarvis. I'll give him a second. Oh, here comes.
I actually was just sitting on this panel. I didn't know I was a part of it.
I just saw you turn on your LMU background, so I was like,
that's fine. Yeah, I'm a professor at Loyola Marymount University. I debated a lot as an undergraduate, and certainly happy to answer questions about our debate team, which is not policy, but is parliamentary. So there's, I guess we represent another format of debate in college. And I've done both as a coach, although I did primarily policy as an undergraduate. So I think there's a lot of stuff out there that's has opportunities, especially when you think about the university.
Awesome. Hey, Jared.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jared. I'm a recent graduate of Cal State Fullerton. I am now one of the assistant coaches on the staff at Cal State Fullerton, and really just like I graduated with my bachelor's in public health, and so yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing. Was there anyone that I missed? Any other staff on the call right now that are currently in college or teaching at one that I missed?
Did I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Norma. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a third year philosophy student at Cal State Fullerton, and I'm currently debating there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Norma. Cool. So my first question, just sort of general. When for the students, as you can tell, we've got a wide range of California representatives here, right? You got the CSUs, you got some UCs, we got some privates. Yeah. So my first question is, all of you have some sort of relationship with debate in college. Do you feel like you need to continue to debate in college, and or not? And if so, in what capacity? And then also, sorry, before y'all answer that, to the students, if you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat, and I'll prioritize yours over the ones that I have prepared.
I can start us off with that question. For myself, I think this is a really relevant question for me because I debated 4 years in Lando. I debated at downtown Magnus High School, and I was really, really in love with the activity and something I wanted to do in college. Fortunately, I got a scholarship to go to USC and debate for them. And later on, I could talk about our scholarship process. It's very something we want to push for, especially with the other UDL debaters. But yeah, I debated in college for a year and I had a really good time. But I also found myself in other interests. I wanted to pursue more advocacy work, more internships, and more extracurriculars in college. And there's definitely a balance to be had. I know that there are some debaters that I know who have had this balance, who have done both debate and other activities. I myself struggled. I tried to do both in college, but time allocation wise and just the effort it took, I just wasn't able to handle it. It's perfectly fine. But that being said, I think that debate is really, really important activity to really empower you and give you these sort of skill sets that you can carry out to other activities. Something that I was doing in college and some advocacy work on housing rights. If you saw in LA Times recently, we did a lot of work on DPS reform. DPS is sort of our public safety apparatus on campus. Very relevant question to, if I remember what you were debating last year, but yeah, that being said, some of you might be the transition. Don't be afraid. College is a very wonderful place to really identify what you want to study, what you want to perform. But yeah, that's, I guess, what I want to share about that topic.
Yeah, I can go next. I kind of out of high school, I debated in a very small school. I didn't debate for Lambda, but um, I felt like I really enjoyed debate. Debate was kind of this home, I guess I had to where like, it was a good place to like meet friends, to bond with people. And I knew some people at Cal State Fullerton already before I really joined the debate team. So um, some of you may know Skylar Harris. They were on the debate team and I debated with them for a little over half a year. And so um, I did it because I enjoyed the activity. And then it was like, you know what, maybe I'll do it only for like a year or so. And then, trying to focus on school a little bit more. And then it was just like, no, I'm just doing it all 4 years. And so, although it's like, it was a lot of work, I think like the process of debate was kind of enjoyable. And I really liked, Cal State Fullerton as a team. Like it's a very much like welcoming team. And I probably wouldn't have like got through college without any of them, like coaches, for other debaters, etc. So yeah.
I can go next on the question. So I will say for me, I saw debate as a job. And I honestly think that in a lot of ways, other people should as well, like when you get to the college level at least, because I feel like what you're trying to do is to gain a lot of skills that will help you eventually in life, particularly even help you in college when it comes to note taking, when it comes to networking opportunities, because you are debating against people who are possibly folks that are going to be in a lot of different areas of life and different professional arenas. And so I think that the networking possibilities that you get from college debate are tremendous. I think that you learning how to utilize evidence, learning how to research, all that stuff I feel is like very important. And so for me, when I was debating, I debated like all of my years of college, and then I went on to graduate and I went to be a grad student at Cal State Fullerton, actually. And so after that, I just kind of jumped into being a director of debate. But the thing for me is that like I feel like other things that I do outside of debate, like I feel like I kind of really can put myself in a place where I can excel because like I've learned these skills in debate, especially when it comes to research and evidence. Like that is a very, very useful skill. And I mean, high school debate is awesome, right? But I feel like when you do go up to college, if you want to debate in college, of course, you do get a lot more of those research abilities and you get them pushed a lot more. But I think it's also really about like who you are. And I say I was like a diehard debate person. Like I've been debating since I was like 14. When I first went to debate camp, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And so like I never knew that I would still be in debate in some capacity. Like a lot of times I feel like I'm gonna move on to some other like more financial gaining gainful career, but like I don't know, I think there'll be something in the next 4 or 5 years. But I think that debate in itself and me getting the experience from college was very essential for the way that I thought about my life, and when I do podcasts and when I talk to certain groups and when I volunteer and stuff in the community. And so, you know, it's up to you and your level of commitment. I think that even having a minimal level of commitment in college debate is something that is very good for your life. And I didn't like attend the, I think Brooke, was it Brooke's lecture about self-care and stuff about that? Like I definitely do think that that is something that is necessary as well, especially in college debate. Like, and I can get into later about other stuff, but I'll say that as a college debater, debate was my job. I was not extremely social, like going to parties and kickbacks and stuff in college, but that was just like who me and my debate partner were. But we did network, and I think that that networking was really good. So that's me.
I can add on if you don't want to move on to the next question. I think I definitely agree with Jared. Is that debate's done so much for like not only creating a really welcoming community at college, but also being a really fun activity to do when you don't, your spare time. I kind of like joking around, was like, I really don't really have free time. It's only like prep time for like stuff like that, right? And that's what it really is your life when you join debate and you're really into it. But I think debate's done like not like I agree with Devin that like debate really does become your job after high school because it's really become my only jobs. I've applied to like so many jobs. I never could get a job, but debate's really done that to introduce me to my first jobs. And I think if you were in debate long enough, you can find like a lot of ways to participate, even if you're not a competitor. There's different aspects of debate that you can really find fulfillment in, such as teaching. I think I could definitely be sympathetic to that. I definitely related to that part of debate. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing. It seems like there's sort of a common theme here, right? That when it comes to debating in college, it's a job. It definitely takes time and takes responsibility. So some folks are kind of wondering, are there benefits to that? Are there colleges at your school? Are there scholarships at your school, rather? And if so, what would they need to do if they're considering applying?
I can start with that. So I mean, I'm actually on the scholarship committee, but the thing about it is, I mean, to be honest, it's like really easy to get a scholarship just in general at Cal State Long Beach. I will not say it is necessarily easy to get a full ride at Cal State Long Beach, unless there's very much so demonstration of work ethic and things of that nature. But as long as you apply and you apply within the time that is allotted, I mean, I guess I do make some like accommodations for if it is late, but a general practice of me and trying to get people ready for life is that you need to meet deadlines. You need to be on time for stuff, especially when it's free money that you're getting in a way. I mean, it's not really free, but I mean, you said to debate. But the thing is that I feel like the process of getting a scholarship is literally you just submitting the materials, us evaluating it, and then we give you an offer. I don't really do any of this type of what do you call it, skills based like scholarships. Like I don't like say, oh, this is an all-star debater, I'm going to give them all this money. That's just not how I evaluate it. Now others on the committee might evaluate it in that way, but like I definitely like sway them away from that type of analysis, because I feel like, you know, even people that don't have the most skill in debate will still like be valuable contributors to a team. Like for me, like I did not go into college debate with like TOC knowledge and excellence. I never really went to a region. I mean, I never went to a national tournament or a TOC tournament in college, in high school at all. Like literally not. I came from Baltimore Urban Debate League, just like you know, a lot of people in this room are from urban debate leagues, and so debate looked a lot different in the early 2000s in that way, because there was not as many opportunities, and I felt like a lot of like urban debate students had to go out and look for them if there wasn't a person who was actively like saying like, hey, you can go to this tournament, and you know, here's some waiver for that, for you to go to that tournament. Now, you know, that may have existed in some places, but it wasn't as widely accessible as it is now. So I didn't really go into college with these like all-star like Northwestern Harvard debater skills, but I knew what I wanted. I knew who I was. I knew like the type of arguments I wanted to do. And so, you know, thankfully I had some coaches that were able to work with me and to do that. And the scholarship was just like an added bonus, because I feel like the skills that you get from debate, they definitely will outweigh that scholarship, because you'll get your money's worth later on. Sorry, no, I guess Joel. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know who's next, my bad. Scholarship question.
Hey, so hi, for people, I feel like I know everybody for the most part, but I should reintroduce myself. My name is Joel Amiel. I am the director of forensics, so speech and debate at Cal State Northridge. I, like Devin, came from an urban debate league, the Atlanta Urban Debate League. I debated all throughout high school.
You muted.
I've been talking for a long time. Okay, so that's awkward. I should introduce myself again. My name is Joel Amiel. I am the director of forensics, so speech and debate at Cal State Northridge. Like Devin, I came from an urban debate league, the Atlanta Urban Debate League. That's where urban debate leagues were the first training I got, the first tournaments that I was able to attend. But the Atlanta League was a little bit different in the sense that we had more opportunities to compete at what you would call like invitationals, right? I went to college on a partial debate scholarship. My first year of college was at Wake Forest University, and I was not prepared for the rigors of college school, and I did a lot of debate, but I didn't do a whole lot of school. Not a lot of attending classes, not a lot of homework assignments, and I got a lot of Fs. And so I don't want to say failed out. I don't think that's technically true. I think I was suspended from school technically for failing a lot of classes, and I had to transfer to Georgia State University, my home institution, that was eager to have me debate, but also would accept me given those grades. And so I had to get myself back on track. And so I have I have a lot of thoughts about the relationship between like college success, personal success, and like success and debate. So I'll just put that out there because I missed the introduction part. The question was about scholarships, Devin? Okay, so actually this year I actually have some fairly good news. So starting in fall 2022, so that's next year, I believe that I've worked out with some of our very generous donors that they are willing to contribute at least half scholarships for 2 students. And hopefully that will go up. But these people, they're like they're retired. They're very, very nice, a very, very nice couple who they actually met on the CSUN debate team, and that's like how they found their love and stuff and built their life. But anyway, they make a lot of money in the restaurant business, and you can imagine they weren't doing so well during COVID. So maybe, in fact, at the end of the year, we will have like more than half scholarships. But what I can say is that we have half scholarships. I've never had scholarships to give to students at CSUN before. So Devin was talking about Devin's philosophy. I need to think a little bit more about my philosophy. But what I would say is that the most important thing for me is that, well, one, I don't want anybody going into debt for college. So if I can be helpful in that way, I will be helpful in that way. I think of scholarships. I think of like your role in a team as being very holistic. Competition is one aspect of what it means to be a part of a team. Service, community service is part of what it means to be on a team. I know that the model that I learned when I was younger, I went to school in Atlanta. And so like there was Emory University, it's like a big debate powerhouse. That's where Jason Jarvis is from. And so I had a lot of experience with that team. It's kind of what I learned, how I learned to be a coach, what I learned, how I learned what debate meant. And on their team, you know, a lot of people got scholarships. And part of that was for competition, but also you had to be at every UDL tournament. You get to judge every other weekend. And there was no like, oh, I got something to do. Oh, school is hard for me. You know what I mean? And they were serious about it, whether you had a scholarship or not. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, for me, scholarships are partially about academic success, but really about investment. And you can invest in the community in a lot of different ways. And you know, anything else about scholarships is a little bit premature. All I know is that we will have some to provide. Does that answer the question, Devin? Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
Yep.
I can go
Sorry.
next. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're
Oh,
good. I was just going to say I wasn't keeping track of who had answered yet.
okay. So like Devin and Joel, Cal State Fullerton has a litany of kind of scholarships that are available. Really the process, the two on the committee are both of our directors on the scholarship committee, so Shannara and Erica. So if like those of you who want a scholarship, definitely like send me an email or etc., and I can get you into contact with both Erica and Shannara. And like Devin, it's just most of the CSUs is just a simple process of like, you know, submitting a certain type of material by the deadline. And, you know, it's not very much skills based. It's more or less like kind of what Joel is saying, that you provide this like holistic kind of representation from for the team. And so even like Shannara's and Toya, our director of debate, is pushing to kind of get more community involvement. Cal State Fullerton already runs 2 tournaments in both the spring and the fall. So we not only do like, are you as a scholarship representative, you're supposed to, you know, kind of have a big role in that, but also judging at Lambdal or any other UDL tournaments for kind of to like keep your scholarship. And so really it's just like kind of like Devin, it's like, yes, the scholarship is good and it's awesome to be on scholarship. But I think kind of the skills that you get in debate are kind of outweighed by, you know, any kind of scholarship that you'll get. And like, I don't know, I feel like the skills that I learned in debate will kind of gear me toward, you know, whatever I do in life, etc.
Awesome. Great. So before I move on to the next question, I wanted to ask students, if you do have access to your camera, please do turn them on. This is the biggest group that I've been in so far, so it'd been nice to see your faces.
I'm sorry, I did omit one thing, and Jared just reminded me of it. I'm sorry, like our scholarship kids, like our scholarship students are definitely required to work at our tournaments that we host, specifically the Jack Howe, which is one of the biggest tournaments like in Southern California, and definitely required to work there. A lot of students that have been on a team in the past 2 years had the luxury of it being online, because a lot of the labor that you have to do is not real online, but in real life it is for real. And Cal State Long Beach's campus is not small, and we have to get coverage of that entire campus in like 2 days. So sorry.
Yeah. No, so it seems like there's some common themes across the board. The reason that these folks are here working with us is because regionally they're our closest partners with in California, whether in Bay Area or down here in SoCal. And when it comes to getting your scholarships, it's not just about do you have some sort of inherent talent, right? Rather, it's are you trying to grow, and are you committed to the team, and are you willing to do the work, and are you willing to not just do the academic work, but the other types of work that come with running the tournaments and stuff. It seems like all these schools have tournaments they run for the high schools and things. Right, so being part of the team is not just are you a good debater, but are you a good team member? Are you active in the community? And these folks, the reason that they're all working at our camps and stuff is because they want you on their team. And I don't think you could say that same thing for other types of extracurriculars where these universities are out here reaching out to y'all. And I think they're really proactive. And if you're interested in any of them, definitely reach out. And to follow up with that scholarship question, I think some of y'all already started mentioning this, but I think Lena had a question that sort of has to do with what was it? Yeah, about what do you do after debate? Or go ahead, you probably.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna ask, like, what doors or like opportunities debate has opened up for you, like beyond high school?
Okay, I guess I can go first. For me, after high school, I mean, I was able to go to grad school like basically free. And so I feel like if you want to go the track of getting a master's degree and getting it like fairly easy in a lot of cases and for free, I think debate is something that really will help you do that, especially if you cultivate those type of relationships with folks in debate. Particularly for me, like Cal State Fullerton, like I didn't really come to California a whole lot, but I definitely wanted to. And I think I told one of the coaches there at that time, it was just like, oh yeah, like I really like California. And they were like, oh, cool. Well, and so it was kind of like, it was a weird process, but it was like, I signed a paper and they were like, cool, you come to Cal State Fullerton and you're committed. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I got in-state residency and most of my college, most of my grad school paid for. I think also like a lot of the people that you meet and debate will be in other areas of life, like especially if they're in like entertainment, if they're like just different areas, like if they work for certain companies, they will get you free stuff. And I'm telling you, just have to be really nice to people and make those relationships a thing. Like I've gotten in Disneyland for free quite a bit in Southern California. And I've never paid for Disneyland actually. And other places because you knew a debater that had a connection to something in that area. And even in other states, like especially in New York, like if you just meet these folks and you get to know them, they will have so many unpredictable connections. And also some of their parents are like rich and stuff. So, if they're like, hey, I'm gonna go to this vacation, you wanna come? And it's like, sure, why not? And it's just like, I'm sorry, but those are just things that you can really get a connection with if you do debate. And I feel like those are opportunities because if you don't have those experiences in your life when you're younger for free, it's just like when you get older, you gotta pay for it. Like you gotta pay for trips to Hawaii and stuff. Like what? Like no. So if you just get to know people and get those connections, and then also there are people that I know that have gone into like the media, right? And even my debate partner, he built a organization called Leaders for a Beautiful Struggle. And so because he knew people in debate that had access to the public media and things like NPR and CNN and MSNBC, he's been on those like channels like talking, and I'm like, look at this dude. And then documentaries and stuff, you get to like randomly you pop up in documentaries or people ask you to say something for a documentary if you're like really like out there being vocal about stuff, right? And so I think that those are some of the opportunities that you can get if you really put yourself out there, right? And so, and get involved with community. You have to be involved with the community. That is very important. I feel like us coming from the communities that we're from, if you're not being involved with your communities or with communities around you, especially like a lot of the issues that are happening in California, you're wasting your skills. So, yeah.
I don't want to talk too much, but I will just echo what Devin's saying. It's like really about networking. It's really hard to explain how important networking is. Like networking is like 90% of why people who are rich and successful, and people who work hard and are not rich are not. It's literally access to networks, access to people who have privilege. And while some aspects of debate can be annoying because it's filled with people who have access to privilege, You need to harness that to your benefit. And so Devin gave a bunch of examples of that. Really, all I will say is that, like, as a community, on the whole, debate is a more elitist like activity than even college itself, if that makes sense. And so because it's a competitive activity, you have the ability to demonstrate that you belong, that you have value to a set of people that frankly, like, you might not have another opportunity to do that with any other real way, by beating them in debates, and that's how you leverage those connections later on in life. I've been offered like job right now. I work with like a political consultancy that's literally just, they're all people from politics who didn't do college, who maybe did college debate like a little bit, you know what I mean? Much of them are much older than me, but I was offered an opportunity to participate in that because, like, I beat some of their students when they were coaching, and that makes sense. And so, like, those communities, I might not remember what happened in a debate 10 years ago, but like the person who lost does. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are some emotional things that are hard to explain, and it's a valuable opportunity, is all I'll say.
Cool. The next question kind of ties into the themes that y'all were already hitting on here. Nuriel asks, is there a particular major that you need to debate at, or a particular major that you need to be to debate in college? If so, what is it? Or inversely, what is it that you need to do to get the most out of debate, as opposed to like being the right major?
I can start off this real quick just with the CSU. So the way in which our teams are funded primarily, well, I guess it's different for Long Beach. They got that like long money, but for the CSUs with short money, we get most of our funding from basically the organization that oversees clubs. And so that means that our teams have to be open to everybody on campus, regardless of your major, anything like that. So there is no requirement. There never would be a requirement. And I don't necessarily think that, like, in my experience, really, really good debaters have been drawn from like all across our college and all across the departments. Like, people have won the national debate tournament who are like biology and chemistry majors. People have won the national debate tournament who are philosophy majors, and so I don't think that it's really about like the work that you put in. Some majors are less flexible than others with missing class, but that's the thing that's kind of an issue. And it's kind of up to your coaches to help you work that out with your professors.
Norma, go.
I'm not a poli-sci major, or at least not. I've changed my major a few times, so definitely don't have to stick to a major when you're in college debate. I went in from like I went undeclared, and I went to pre-business, and I went from public administration to criminal justice to philosophy. So you can, especially at Fullerton, you can definitely change without any consequences or any real consequences. And it allows you to really, it's at least here we have like really great opportunities to just discover. I know it's a lot harder to switch your majors at different campuses. I've discovered that now when I see like a lot of my friends complain like, ugh, I have to stick to this like English degree. But here, I think I don't know, I've had like a really great time just discovering what I really like studying. And I'm really looking forward to this semester because I have like a lot of really fun classes lined up. So I want to ask like from Jared, because Jared's actually a public health major. So that'd be interesting to hear from Jared.
Yeah, like Joel, it's like the team is open to anyone because it's funded by, the school board. And I mean, I was the only like, I guess, STEM public health is not really STEM, but I was really the only kind of non-poli-sci human communications major on the team. And so it really doesn't matter what major you are. And I think Joel kind of echoing what Joel said, it's like, it's a question of like how much work you put in and like your work ethic, etc. Although I will take one thing that Devin told me when I was like a junior in college. Devin's like, if you ever can, take a class on what you're debating on. So this past semester, I took a class on international relations, and so I was able to just beat a bunch of policy teams on why their theory of international relations is bad. And so yeah, it really doesn't matter what major you're in. I think like some of the skills that you learn in debate, I think like so I did debate for what, this will be 9th year I'm going into now. So I think like the research and writing skills are just one of the most important things that will just like help you get through classes no matter what major you are. Like there's so many times where it's like, oh, I have to write a paper on degrowth movements. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to my back files, read some of those pieces of evidence, and then I'm going to find newer, articles that talk about this. And so, and then you can just like read your blocks and like, oh, okay, I'm going to synthesize that block into like an academic kind of paper. And so it's really just like a question of like, the skills you put into, you use your skills to put into school. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and if I could add a little bit on my own personal experience. So I'm sure a lot of you just might, even with this feedback from folks, have a sort of perception that like, well, in debate, we learn about international relations and things like that. So I'm probably going to be good at poli sci. I kind of was like that when I went into college. I was just like, I know debate, so I'll know poli sci, and I kind of stuck to that for my first few years. And it wasn't until like I was near the end that I started diversifying the classes I was taking just for the fun of it. And I learned later that I was like, hey, even though I know this poli sci stuff, I might have enjoyed some of the other stuff more had I experimented a bit more before sort of laying down just like and committing to poli sci really early in my college career. I don't regret it, but definitely feel free to experiment and try the different majors and things. Take a few different classes. You've got time, and there's no right or wrong one. If depending on what you want to do, especially if it's trying to do debate stuff. Yeah, good.
Really quick for me, like I like so in high school I was in this program called law related education. So I was already like prone to allegedly go to law school, but I was like, I don't think I really want to do that. Once I shadowed some lawyers and I was just like, oh, they have no soul. Like, and they're just defending things that are just like, wow, in Baltimore. And I was just like, I'm good. But I still like the information and stuff that I got from all of that. And so when I went to college and then, I debated traditionally for all 4 years in high school. And then, then non-traditional debate became a thing that I started to latch onto in college. And so I was just like, I don't want to be like one of those folks that like, that are kind of like the butt of the jokes where people are like, oh, these K debaters, they don't know stuff about politics and blah, blah, blah. And so like, I was just like, I was like, I'm gonna do political science. I'm good. I'm just gonna do that. And I minored in African-American studies. And so that was where I went. And I wanted to be a lobbyist for a little bit. And then I found out that was kind of evil too. And then I was just like, what else? And so I didn't really know what I was gonna do with my life after I graduated, but I know that was like during the time where like we had that major recession that Joseph was talking about from the economy dissent, and where some people were talking about under Obama. And we had that time period. And I was like, I think trying to get a job is not really the best time. So I just went to like Fullerton. It was like, I'm just going to do grad school. But I do think that my major was something that really helped me with debate because, there's always going to be a topic that deals with some level of political science. It just is. Like, I'm not saying that you have to be that major, but it will be in every single topic that you debate in college and high school or whatever. And so I felt like me taking all those political science classes and even African-American studies classes were something that really got me ready to debate people who were just debating straight up policy debate. And, I feel like the very first time when me and my partner beat a first round bid team, which is like a team that is like kind of like the top teams that go automatically to the national debate tournament. The first time we beat them was was like they had this really bad interpretation or understanding of what strict scrutiny was and like a lot of legal terms that deal with the judicial branch. And I was just like, come on, y'all are Kansas. How do you not know like what you're saying? Like debate like teach you like these legal terms in a very tricky, playful way. But I'm like, I know literally what this means. And like your stuff would not pass a test of strict scrutiny. Get out of here. And it was just like a lot of different things. And of course, like I didn't really have evidence cut for that, but I just knew that stuff because my particular like concentration was constitutional law. So like when we had topics like that, I was like, what's good? Like, okay, like you can talk about all this evidence that you got, but I also know the test cases and all the cases that go along with like all these things you're speaking about. So I just think that major was something that was really helpful for me. And when I told Jared that you need to take classes and things that you want to debate, like the arguments that you want to debate, it helps you because it's somebody from the academic field that has studied these things and they know a lot more than you think you know in debate. Because like debaters that like debate all these like, you know, Afro pass and, you know, feminist things and, you know, all these different case stuff, like they think that they're the gods of this. And it's like, no, you're not. There are people that actually study it like in real life that are about it for real, not just like a game for you. So that's why I think you should take those classes that deal with the arguments that you want to make when you get in college, because they're very helpful. I took a class in Islam and it was oof, a lot of terminology, but it was necessary for the topic about Middle East engagement that we had. So
Can I just jump in real quick? So I definitely echo what Devin is saying, but I'm gonna say you probably shouldn't. Every once in a while, you pick a class that's like gonna help you in debate. But you know, you should be picking classes based on like what you're gonna do well in and like what you like to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the worst thing you can do is pick a major and start taking classes because you think it's gonna help you in an extracurricular activity for the most part. That's probably not like sound practice. It's not good decision-making skills. I'm telling you as somebody who did it, you know, first I was a chemistry major. I got like a chemistry degree. Okay. I got a political science degree. Do I do any chemistry? No. But my mama thought I should be a patent attorney. Do I do any political science? Maybe a little bit, you know. I do a lot more communication studies. I didn't really take a whole lot of classes in that as an undergrad. So I'm just saying, you know, like holistic decision making.
If I could add on really quick before we move on, Jared just like made me realize something that I think is important to share, in that at USC debate, I mean, yes, foremost we are like inclusive of all majors, we have to, but more so we're also understanding of like what each major entails. So I think his conversation on IR, on our team we do have a lot of IR majors, we do have a lot of East Asian studies majors, and they all have interest in either foreign service or study abroad. And we make sure that like if you have these sorts of interests that they are foremost a priority over debate. So you keep your scholarships. Once you come back, you're still going to get acclimated to the team. And we're really understanding of that. So literally anything you want to study, prioritize it because that should be your main interest.
Cool. Look
But
like
add
Jeff said-
one other thing real quick, which is that a lot of the debate teams are housed in communication departments. I know ours is. I think a couple others. People, right? Joel, yeah. So that's not very strange. And the reason I want to point that out is that I don't think most of those places have requirements that you be a comm studies major, but the major itself is related to debate because some of the fundamental skills it teaches are related. Comm studies, public speaking. We like to think critical thinking as well. The other reason that's important is because comm studies has had an influence on debate. Some of the critical turn that took place 25, 30 years ago took place because comm theory started to work its way into debate. So when you start hearing people make language critiques or critiques of performance, a lot of that is very much related to communication theory. So I'm not saying you have to be a comm major, but if some of those sort of critical arguments are interesting to you, there is space within the major itself in communication studies to have some of those debates or a performance studies major, for example, or to consider some of the ways language is creating realities that either good or bad or that we want to change. And so once you start saying language creates reality, we want to talk about your actions, words, behaviors, you're getting very much into comm theory. So that may be something to consider when you're looking at majors, if you want to do more of that, or at least consider taking a class to sort of get deeper into that literature, because that's available.
Cool. So it seems like we got a lot of insight in terms of what it's like once you're on the team. But I'm sure, and this question comes from Lizzie, what is it like transitioning from high school debate to college debate, and what are some of the differences between those things that folks should be aware of when deciding if they want to continue debate?
Have y'all talked about the difference between like policy debate and all the other events and already?
Nope. Great start.
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, one thing I would say is that like policy debate in college is like really hard. Like I know it's hard now, but there's no real comparison. It's like very, very, very difficult to be successful. If you want to be as successful as a person like Jared or Devin, like I wasn't frankly as successful as either of them, but I was like pretty good even. And it took like all of my time, like all of it basically. The only time I had to do jobs, I did work a lot, but they were all like debate related jobs, teaching debate and stuff. And so you need to take, but that is not the only form of debate or speech and debate that exists in college. Cal State Northridge, for example, runs a full service team. So we offer NDT, CETA, policy debate, the style that is most similar to this. We also offer public forum, which is an opportunity for you to do, like, I would say sorry, I'm getting a call. Stop it. Okay. Actually, Devin, can you take over? I need to answer this phone call, sorry.
Yeah, so just like Joel was saying, like Cal State Long Beach is a full service team as well. We do Parley. I guess we're gonna start doing public forum as well when it gets to college. It is already rolled out, but we're gonna offer that as well. We do speech. I mean, we do a little bit of IPDA, which is something y'all don't know yet, but if you go to college and go to like a full service team, you will. But like what I will say is the transition to college, I mean, I feel like all debate styles are hard. I think policy is probably the hardest, but it's literally about like how much work you're willing to put in and how dedicated you are to the activity. If you're somebody who's real lukewarm about debate and you're not really in it to win it, like college debate and trying to be extremely successful may not be like the necessary goal that you might have. It's not to say that you shouldn't do it, you should, but like if you already know that you're not going to come to it like with a hyper competitive, I want to be somebody, I want to make a name in this activity, then you don't have to go about it that way. I just feel like for me, I was driven and I wanted it like really badly, like, and I was just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to work hard, I'm going to be better. I mean, as a Black man, like in this activity, and it was barely any of us during the time that we were debating, like me and Joel and like a few other Black folks that were debating during that time, like it just was like being a part of this activity and constantly having to prove yourself in certain ways was just something that was driving me to be better, because I knew that I didn't come from, you know, a place where TOC debate was like thriving for me. So I already had that level of like relationship and networking did not exist for me. Like a lot of the people I was debating against, they knew each other since like high school and some even middle school. So I had to beat them and like try to figure out ways to do that. So I feel like it's all about your commitment level, and policy debate in college is hard, but like if you're willing to put in the work and work with your coaches, like it will be worth it. Like I don't feel like, at least in California, there's no coach just like, oh, you're wanting to work too hard. Like, I don't really want to do all that. Like for me, I just remember just coaching a lot of different folks in California, where sometimes I was up to like at 1 o'clock in the morning talking about arguments and doing stuff. Now, everybody's not willing to do that because, you know, they have other stuff to do, but I would be willing to do that because I know that I had coaches that did it for me. So it's really up to you. And the transition will be definitely different. I would definitely say that when I transitioned to from high school to college, I definitely got my behind handed to me for several tournaments. But then I got to the gist of stuff and I was just like, okay, cool. I know what's up and I see how this politics is working in this activity. So I got to research harder. I got to know more. I got to do the things that I need to do. But some people like see that obstacle and they're like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to do other stuff. And that's fine too. But I just know that I wasn't that person. So.
Yeah, it's like, it's really up to how much you work. Your coaches will work with you. Like right now I have a bunch of debaters. Honestly, frankly, the pandemic kind of like wrecked them. And so it's been very difficult for them to focus on policy debate in the way that they would need to be super successful. They worked really, really hard like 2 years before and were having like fantastic success at the tournaments. But like, and that's cool. Like it's, you meet people where they are. Your coaches will meet you where you are, right? Like if you need to take a step back, if your goals are different, then it is like that's great. It's fantastic. We want your success. But if you come to CSUN and you say you want to like qualify to NDT, we know how to do that. Like I will work with you for as long as you need to. I will put in extra hours. I will make people in my personal life unhappy in order to help you achieve those goals. And that's just, it really is about what you need. In the chat, I am putting all the different, like we said, full service debate, but I bet you have no idea really like what some of those events mean. So the events that we offer, I'm putting in the chat, and I have a couple more.
One of the things I think is very important for students to do is to sort of define what your goals are. I think Devin actually spoke to a bunch of this, so I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I would just say that not every program has the same goals. I think the Emory debate program had sort of one set of goals when I was there. It was a little disorganized. It was more socially oriented. I went to Wake Forest, and it was like a hard transition for me because they were super organized and seemed like they only cared about winning. And we liked winning, but it wasn't the same thing. And that transition was brutal to me personally. But part of it is to spend some time deciding what you want from debate and think about that when you go, because not every program has the same goals. And I'm going to put a link to our program in the chat. I'm not directly involved with it. The debate coach, his email address is on that page, but our team has sort of shifted to a more socially conscious goal. We do debate tournaments, they do Parley, but a lot of the program is not really geared towards, say, trying to win the NDT. If you want to do that, you might want to go see Devin and work at that team. But that's a different goal, right? The goal of the program is not to say be a nationally competitive policy debater. That's a different set of goals, and that requires a different kind of commitment. And I think that's what Devin spoke to very, very eloquently and very effectively. You need to think about that, in terms of choosing your team. You may look at what LMU says, be like, that's not for me, because actually I do want to go kick ass at the national level. Well, you shouldn't come here to debate. That's not what we do. And I think that's really important in setting your personal goals and then, trying to line up an institution that helps you achieve that and get the degree you want.
While we're talking about like full service and things like that, I believe Leia mentioned in the chat that we've got some folks on the call right now that have experience with types of debate outside of policy. So if you are one of those folks, would you like to share your experience?
You're not talking to us, right? You're talking about like students?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if they're here, like.
I definitely know that Zoodle and Bottle folks, if there are any students or Bottle folks that would like to talk more about different types of debate, I think y'all are more full service than the other ones. So please speak up.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I mean, I can quickly chime in. Like I've coached Parley debate. I even got hired to coach at like their version of like a national tournament, CETA, but it was like in a Parley version. And so what I would say, like to really be honest, like if you were a policy debater in high school and you go to Parley, I mean, there is a little bit of a shift, but like what I will say is that the skills that you learn in policy will drastically help you to be very like good at Parley debate. The thing that I will say I like the most about Parley debate is that the topic changes every round. And like, if you did high school debate and policy, you sometimes have debated those topics already, so you know a lot more about it than a lot of the people that you're going against. So that's what I would say. But Parley, I feel like coaching Parley for me is really fun because the research happens right the first 30 minutes or 25 minutes before the round starts, and like you get to craft out the arguments with people and let's tell them all the ins and outs of it, and it's like a really high, like intense environment, and I kind of like those types of environments, to be honest. But the thing is like that's not always for everybody, but I loved it and I love coaching it when I do get the chance. So
yeah, it's it's a very different experience. It depends on the kind of personality type you have. I've got students from CSUN who like need to be prepared. They're super smart, but they need preparation. And so parliamentary debate is like stressful for them because one topic, like one round, they're debating like Wanda Maximoff is the best Avenger. And then the next round, they're debating like the United States federal government should establish a system of universal health insurance for everybody. You know what I mean? And so it makes you a well-rounded person. You also can't, there's less control over your judges. The rules actually say that like it's not supposed to be just a professional class of judges. And so you might get, you know, J-Flo one round, Devin one round, and my mom the next round. My mom ain't really trying to hear none of the stuff you got to say, unless it's just like old-timey, quasi problematic stuff, you know? And so you gotta, if you don't, for example, our debaters got, we went to a tournament in Mississippi. We weren't really allowed, but it was an online tournament. And these young ladies got, the topic was like abortion, like birth control. Women should have access to birth control. And they got the negative side, like free access basically. And they got the negative side. And they're like, what? Like they didn't really know what to say. And they needed some help generating arguments. And I was like, well, you know, there's like the Jesus argument. And they were like, what? So I'm trying to say, it's like you have less control over what you might have to say in a round. But if you like doing different stuff, parliamentary debate is like, is really fun.
It is. And so what I will say is like this year we kind of accidentally qualified for their national tournaments, which is kind of weird because we had a student that did policy and parley. And so she like qualified for their version of the NDT and CETA. And I was just like, okay, that's interesting. So cool. And then we had like a couple of students that qualified for the NDT. But it was just like, it's very interesting how this online stuff works. I can't wait to be back in person. So.
I don't think people should worry about one thing, which is that I think the networks of people that you get they aren't exactly the same, but they're similar. Smart people do all these activities. It's a nerd sport in the good sense of nerd, meaning that like you're going to meet cool people, they're going to be really intelligent, and when they leave college, that the networks that people were talking about earlier, you're going to end up with similar networks of successful people. I think that's still a benefit whether you're doing politics or parley. I wouldn't worry about that part. Those pretty much balance out.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you all for sharing. Lizzie, you've got a hand up. I think this might be our last question. And then we'll head over to lab.
Yeah, I have a question. So I currently am going to attend Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in the fall. And I guess my question is, how do you transition from like, you know, because Cal Poly is like 3 hours away from here. It's kind of a distance. It's not as bad of a distance because it's still within California, but how do you transition from like, you know, being in debate in the new environment, if that makes sense?
Okay, I guess I can give some context. Lizzie is just a new grad. She's actually just supposed to be an intern, but she really stepped up, and I needed some help with admin stuff, so she's an assistant. She wants to still volunteer for Lambdal and be connected with the other leagues, but it's still not in LA. So even Cal State Fullerton, Cal State Northridge are still closer than the school that you'd be going to. Do we have any suggestions from the coaches about how to participate or even how to get connected in debate, whether or not it's Lambdal or even on the national level? I do know that one thing I can suggest is that we, hopefully in person, but Lambdal does travel to Berkeley and some other non-Lambdal invitationals and tournaments. Hopefully we have some schools that need some judging, but that's the one thing I can suggest. If there's other folks that have anything else to add, I'd appreciate y'all chiming in.
I'm sorry, I kind of missed part of the question.
So as you move away from where you know debate, how do we stay, like what are some ways to stay involved or get reconnected with debate in a new environment where you might not necessarily know people or where there might not be a team?
Slow. Cal Poly slow. What? That's St. Louis baseball. So I think that like if you get in contact with the local leagues, personally, I don't I'm not really fond of the local league that exists primarily in California. It is called CHASA. I'm not going to speak bad about them, but what I will say is that the students definitely need help for, like, you know, from people who have been in debate and doing debate and speech things. So like if you try to get in contact with the local CHASA district, which is California High School Speech something something association, I think, they will probably be able to direct you to the closest like group of folks that might want help in some way. That's what I would say if you're in California. Like, I don't know about other places, or if there's a local UDL or a local league of some kind in the place that you're going to. But I would think like the Cal Poly SLO area is, I forget which district it is for CHASA, but it has a CHASA district. It's not Redwood, Jared, is it?
No, it's not Redwood.
Okay.
I think that district is connected with like the Bay district.
Okay. Yeah. So, oh yeah. So like, are they connected with like San Jose type
Yeah, like
folks?
Bellarmine and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. So that is one of the better CHASA districts. I would say that you could get involved with, because I know that's the district that Harker is in. Because I work with Harker too. But yeah,
Hey,
so
so I can connect you. I like the summer camp I was doing last week was with the directors at Harker, and so I'll put my email in the chat. Can you send me an email that basically re-explains this question, and we can make sure we get you connected with the folks who would be able to help there.
I also want to add, sorry for coming late into this discussion. My name is Lucia, one of the lab leaders, but there's about like 23 urban debate leagues across the country that, like, if you reach out to, you know, Joseph, me, any of the like league staff, you know, like we will be able to get you connected with the program directors at those different leagues. And I know that they have like judging opportunities, coaching opportunities. Maybe you could even coach the teachers, kind of like what we do. So there is, you know, opportunity in that aspect as well. And I also know that like, I know when I was in college, I wanted to be super involved in the league, but also like I had to remember that like I have college stuff. So even stuff like when you come back into town, right? If there's a tournament during, because I know we have tournaments in December. If there's a tournament, you know, when you come back into town, being able to help with that. Or, you know, college panels like this, right? We have alums that come back and talk about their experience, being able to be helpful in that aspect as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to just be judging debate rounds or like coaching students, right? There's other ways to be involved with the league that does not require, you know, that type of thing. If you're looking for it, of course, right? But you could be creative in like what the help looks like when it comes to helping different leagues. But I will say that, like, you know, if you connect with any of the admin, like we will get you connected with other UDLs. Like there's like 23 across the country. So, and there's more popping up. So I know there's one popping up in Texas. So yeah.
Wherever you end up, there's always going to be a way to get involved, especially if you're in a major city. I know personally, I went to Berkeley. When I started, I was on the debate team, and then I very quickly, within the first year, figured that debating at Berkeley was not the type of debate that I wanted to do. So instead, I spent most of my college time with the Bay Area Urban Debate League. So even though I was a Lambdal debater, during college I worked with Bottle since they were the closest league to me. And I love that. And I found my place there. And that's why I'm still doing the work that I'm doing here. Because during college I enjoyed that aspect of it a bit more than continuing to compete. So regardless of how you want to be involved, there's some way to get connected, and in whatever capacity you have available, whether you're competing and are just volunteering to judge, or if you are interested in trying different types of debate, whatever you're doing, definitely reach out to us. Reach out to your league contact, whether that's me, Santa Lucia, or Maya, and we'll help get you connected with that. We're coming up at the end of our hour. So if you have any other questions, all of these folks are around the camp and are still willing to answer questions beyond today. So please feel free to reach out to them so they can answer any questions you have, whether they're more specific or in general. If you check out the chat, most of the folks have added their email where you could reach out to them. They're happy to answer your questions because, like I mentioned earlier, these programs and these schools are not just available to you, but they're seeking you out and they want you at their programs. The reason that they're working here at the camp, the reason that they invite you to their tournaments when they host them and all that other stuff is because they want you on their team. So reach out to these folks if you're interested at all.
Yes,
with that,
come to the Jack Howe in September.
Yeah. September. Is it in person or are we still online?
Definitely online.
Yeah.
We might be in person next year.
Yeah, it'll make it easier. So, invitational tournaments hosted by these folks. If Fullerton has a couple, one in the fall, one in the spring, that we're definitely going to send some students to. USC, we work with them on theirs.
Definitely, we need to
check out-
get a lot of policy teams in the open division at Fullerton. I have a strategy and a plan. So please get as many as possible there.
Yeah, definitely going to send some of y'all to that. So hope y'all are interested in doing that this fall.
Yes, go to these national tournaments. I know that like Spudo goes to the Jack Hall and we love going to that tournament. We're sad that it's online, but it's still just a great experience. So thank you so much for Devin for like, allowing us to be able to participate at a reduced fee, like no fee at all, actually.
All UDL students, as long as I'm there, and I'm pretty sure after I leave, will always be for free. I don't care.
Yes, and that's huge. Like you all don't know how huge that is because that like is very helpful for us to be able to travel to a lot of different other national tournaments. So thank you so much, Devin, for like doing that. We really, really appreciate it. And having that like culture and atmosphere for us to be able to participate.
So thank you all for your time, sharing your experience, whether as a director on the teams or as a current debater. For now, we're going to go ahead and wrap up, and y'all could head to lab until lunch. Those rooms are open now, but I will be closing down this meeting in just a moment. So
yes,
everyone should
novices,
be in lab. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, novices could join the Zoom link, Norma and I's group. So you could join us. Thank you so much for joining us, Maridel. I hope that I pronounced your name right. Thanks for joining us, learning more about like college and debate.